welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. Hopefully, this one gets you guys entertained and a bit spooked. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Ryan Dillon Brasington, and I will tell this story as dramatically and engaging as possible. As always, this is an unscripted story as it is told from personal experiences, so excuse any wording or mishaps. Yeah, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this story is about young Dylan back in his dating days on the dance floor. You know how it goes. Anyways, getting his boogie down on the dance floor. Anyway, meets one girl. He pays a little bit of interest to him. She invites him back to her place. Anyway, he's thinking, oh, this doesn't happen often. Anyways, gets back to her and she's got another three flatmates that are all up, willing to entertain. So throughout the night, they were pretty much sitting around the lounge room, drinking some wines, getting to know each other, which was nice. Dylan and this girl Lisa, pretty much made up a game that become an in-joke between them, and then make up intelligent conversation and responses to that intelligent conversation, just to absolutely sound like they were full of it. It was a pretty good in-joke that developed on the night. Young Dylan thinking, there's a bit of a connection here. We're all having fun. Flatmates obviously approve. Pretty nice. All right. All having a giggle. The night passes pretty quick. Looking at the clock, 3 o'clock, devil's hour, better head home, don't make a fool of myself. So did so. Dylan goes home for the night, getting young Lisa's number, and decide to meet up again in the future. Over the week, exchanging text messages and whatnot, getting to know each other that way as well, as the 21st century predicted. But anyway, so they decided they were going to have their second date, or first date to say, at a place where Lisa was house sitting. So she was house sitting for someone in a place called Springfield on the Central Coast. That person had gone overseas somewhere or other, and she said, what I want to do is come over here. I'll have a bit of lounge room picnic, and I'll cook home pizzas. We'll have a bit of a romantic setting here, and young Dylan thinking, oh yeah, she's pretty nice first time around, getting to know her is pretty good. Alright, she's house setting someone else's house. Yeah, I'm in for it. So anyways, gets dressed up for the night, and heads over to this place that she's house setting in Springfield. And he pulls up out the front, 7 o'clock at night, the sun's already gone down, and he's walking up to the front door. The front door's lit, and there's flowers out the front. Pretty nice looking house. The green mesh on the side to kind of act as a greenhouse for the plants surrounding it. No ominous feelings at that time. Anyway, gets up to the front door, and the door knocker at the front of the door, just looking at that, just kind of, ooh, that's not what I want to knock. As he's looking at it, he's just thinking, I don't know, that's a bit strange. Anyway, so he does the old tap on the door, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. And the door slowly opens, saying Lisa there to greet. And Dylan's got flowers in hand and a bottle of wine to go, as you do on these dates. Hands her the flowers, gives her a hug on the shoulders. Now, as he's handing her the flowers and she's kind of holding them and giving him a hug, he's looked over the shoulder and he's looking through the lounge room and in the reflection of the glass, the window there. Now, the glass window was a tinted window, so it was more reflective at night. And, he's seeing a man in the reflection standing in the lounge room in denim jeans, a black shirt, and clearly a bald head. And, he's gone to focus, blink, 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 and there was nothing there. And he thought, that was a bit spooky. Far out. Anyways, there's no one there, is there? No. Anyways, take a couple of steps in, and she says, I'm house setting for this guy. He's gone, on holidays somewhere or other. I've cooked us pizzas, and I said, make sure make sure that, oh, got no garlic in it, no allergy to garlic, etc. Yep, she'd already made sure, as they'd been texting throughout the week. Anyway, so they decide, while the pizzas are cooking, they're going to sit down in the lounge room, have cheese and crackers, all the rest of it. And, they're getting to know each other over the coffee table, having a laugh and a giggle and a bit of a flirt, touch on the elbow and, blink of the eyelids here and, Dylan thinking, oh, you're going all right again. This isn't too bad, And they start their game again, having a giggle back and forth about the, nonsense of intelligent conversation. Out the corner of Dylan's eye, he kind of, gets a glance in this reflection again. And he's kind of, looking at it like straight on now. He's looking at it and he's blinking his eyes twice. And he can see in the reflection what would be behind him is a man in denim jeans, blue denim jeans, and a black shirt and a bald head. And he's blinking his eyes and it's still there. And he's kind of, as he scanned around this person that's standing there, he's kind of focused on these eyes, and he can't see any eyes there. And as much as his eyes are trying to focus, he just couldn't see any eyes. And he could only describe what he could see as black holes, and he couldn't see that, even that. It's like his eyes weren't allowing him to focus on that spot, and he's blinked his eyes 2 or 3 times, and and then, in that nervousness, shit, maybe he is behind me, had that glance behind him, whoa, had a look around the lounge room, and there's no one there. And mind you, Lisa's sitting in front of him thinking, what are you looking at? Is there a fly or something around the room? What? Anyway, he's kind of like, oh, rubbing his chest, going, that was a bit spooky. That was right there. Could see it, blink twice, 3 times, and it's still there. Anyway, so had 2 or 3 wines in now, and Lisa says, all right, just need to go into the toilet. I'll be back in a sec. She goes into the toilet, taking a couple of seconds. He thinks, all right, scratching his back, thinking, oh, this is a first, definitely. Eyes wide open as he's looking around the room, and his eyes are drawn to the curtain that was a drawer curtain between the lounge room and the kitchen. And he can kind of, feel that something's over there watching him from behind this curtain. He's looking at it directly on, and he's like, nah, I can't see anything there. I can't see anything. He's looking at that reflection again, maybe if I tilt my head back, I can see the angle of the curtain. And as he's tilting his head back, kind of getting that angle there, Lisa comes back out from the bathroom, toilet, and she's kind of taking a slow pace, she's kind of stumbling with like almost a twitch in her knee, like a nervous twitch. And I thought, oh, this Sheila's kind of, she must be keen because, she's a bit nervous, like, and she's like almost got her head down and she's not able to make eye contact at this point, a bit nervous. So I was thinking. Anyway, she sits down again and she's going, do you want another one? Yeah, all right, yeah, I have another one. Anyways, things start to progress. Pizza's ready. Now they go into the kitchen, sit down at the kitchen table, which was kind of, I guess, I felt like a bit over-hoarded. It was a bit dark, it was a bit overcrowded, there was a half a table there, and it kind of changed the mood a bit sitting in that kitchen. And, as Dylan's sitting there and he's having this pizza and he's looking out in the lounge room at the corner of his eye up this hallway, he kind of gets a feeling, that same feeling from behind the curtain, but now over behind the coffee table and near the hallway part there. He's thinking, this is full on, man. Like, you've never been on a date where I've had a haunting. Like, this is giving me the jeebs. Anyway, he played none the nil to Lisa that was in front of him, thinking, second date, don't want to be a freak. And anyway, so the night progressed. They moved back out into the lounge room. Now they're sitting there and starting to, progress in second day would, starting to get it on, getting a bit closer, hugging, and she's starting to, claw in and, pulling tight and, kind of get those claws digging in the skin. And Dylan's thinking, this chick is into the rough stuff. I'm not kinky like that. This is a bit much. Like, whoa. And she's kind of got him around the collar, and she's in his lap straddling him, and she's kind of got him pinned there, and couldn't make eye contact with her at the time, and he's trying to like, whoa, this is a bit coming on a bit strong, love. Anyways, at that time, he kind of like glances over and he can see this guy once again in the blue jeans, the black shirt, and the bald head with no freaking eyes, standing just over them, kind of looking at them, but not like standing to the side, more looking at the front door than us, but just standing there, still freaky enough. And I look at that kind of, she's kind of patching down the neck of, and he's, oh, I'm freaking out. So, anyways, he goes, all right, well, he's kind of pulling away a bit. Next thing you know, Lisa pulls back. She goes, oh, I've just got to freshen up. And she pounces up and she goes down the hallway to go to the bathroom again. He's thinking, oh, wow. All right, this is getting full on. I don't want to be left alone at this point. She comes back out again, twitching at the knees and a bit more staggery this time. And again with the head down. And this time the head was a bit twitchy too. And Dylan's looking at her going, all right, she's either had too much to drink or something ominous is happening right now. And again, she, sits down in front of him. And this time he's a bit standoffish. She's like, oh, I don't know where I want to go with this. Anyway, so she kind of sits down, do you want another drink? Like, is she staring up and around the room? No, I'm all right, actually, I've got to drive, so I don't really want another one. Oh, hold on, before you go, I've just got to go to the bathroom again. And I went, like, that is odd, all right, so Dylan's thinking to himself, yeah, odd situation now, all right. And he's looking around the room again, he's thinking, this guy's going to pop up again. And, he's looking around, eyes wide open, and looks over now to Lisa coming back out of this doorway. And again, she's now looking even more twitchy and more ragged and like either too pissed or just a bit too beyond it. So Dylan's kind of, putting their hands up at this point going like, I'm just going to leave. At that point she's like, yeah, all right then. Yeah, if you want to leave, okay. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. And he's kind of like, all right, gonna bail. Didn't even want a hug from her. Anyways, and as he's gone, he's got up again, gone to do that slight puddle over the shoulder, but hug goodbye. He's now looked straight up, and what he can see standing behind her is that same guy in the jeans, in the black shirt, with the bald head, no freaking eyes, like fuzzy fuzzballs looking at him, just standing there staring in the same spot he was when they were down on the floor pashing out. And Dylan's looked straight at this thing, whatever it was, looked at it and just backed away and gone, yep, thank you, have a nice night. Door shuts in front of him as he's still walking backways, and then arachnophobe attack. That's it, like chills all over as he's washing his shoulders, brushing his shoulders down with his arms, trying to wash away whatever energy it was as his, knees are coming up in the air like there's ants crawling over his feet and he's brushing them off. Absolute, just freak out. So jumped in his car. Drove off, got a text message, 15, 20 minutes later. Thanks for the company tonight. I really hope that you have a good life, and enjoy your future type thing. So Dylan just went, yeah, all right, thank you very much, and I'll see you when I'm looking at you. And that was the end of that story. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening once again. Please give feedback, whatever you wish. Thanks. Welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Ryan Dylan Brasington. Welcome back. Bad Date Rising / solo mission. I'll call it more of a Bad Date Rising. Ladies and gentlemen, look, I went and brought myself a hotel room for 2 nights, 2 festival tickets, VIP tickets at that. Extra costs, for extra special treatment. Not only that, it was the Good Times Roll Festival, and I knew one of the lead bands, which is Little Quirks, and Jamie Toole in the band I used to actually work with in a previous job, and I've watched her grow from doing small council events to now literally playing with the Cat Empire. Oh my God. So really stoked, really wanted to go. Got the hotel room for 2 nights, so it's not that rush out in the morning when you're hungover. No one likes that. So, I'd spent a couple of $100, like A, on the tickets, and then B, on the night it was going to be for the hotel room, another 590, which is fair enough. Cool, happy to do it. Anyway, the person that I wanted to invite, I invited, and unfortunately they said they couldn't make it. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I'm just not able to make it. Can't do it. Sorry. Disappointing, man. Oh. Anyway, the event grows closer. I say, I'll invite my best mate, Matt. He says, yeah, all right, man, I'm keen. But let you know I've stopped drinking. I'm not really, doing that thing anymore. I said, we can still out and have fun, of course. He said, yeah. I said, still be normal without grog, man. I said, even better, save money, but I'm going to be me, And he said, yeah, no worries. No worries. Anyway, so leading up to the event, all right? Now, the event is on a Sunday. Now, Friday, everything's cool, got everything planned, got my clothes ready, shoes are buffed, got my hat and my sunnies ready to go, stoked, got the weekend off, this is pre-planned, awesome, Anyway, so the Friday afternoon comes, I get a call to go into work. So, anyways, work the Friday afternoon, no worries. This is leading into Saturday. The festival's on the Sunday, no drama. But anyways, so Saturday rolls around, and then about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm still doing my thing, getting ready. I feel this little tingle on my lip, and I'm like, no, man, no way. No, and I'm looking for my Zavirax, trying to find it, found it, put some on, didn't make a difference. This thing was a damn demon from hell. Anyway, this cold sore, ladies and gentlemen, I'm disgusted by them. They disgust me that I even suffer with cold sores. I go to the doctors, get these medications so they don't flare up, but obviously my medication had worn off because this thing was like, I've been waiting to take over your face, and it exploded. It went from a tingle to my face felt swollen with this thing. It was hideous, disgusting. And the several days after, I even wore a mask to work. That's how embarrassed I was. Oh, what's wrong? Are you sick? No, my immunity is down, sorry. And that's what I put it down to. I don't know if it was just previous excitement, but anyways, I have to cancel the festival. I'm not going to this festival, A, with a mask on, or B, with this hideous face. Oh my God, it's not, not going to happen. So I rang the hotel room. I'm going to have to cancel, apologies. No worries, that's cool. Okay, see you next time. Not a drama. Cool, thank you very much. Anyways, and then I went to get my refunds. I've paid security on them, by the way, too, ladies and gentlemen. And this company, the project booking company, you need a doctor's certificate. The festival's on a Sunday. There's no doctors open. You need it to cover the period that you weren't able to make it. There's no doctor's not open on a Sunday. None was. Anyways, I did ring around. I even had up my phone record, which I took screenshots later on and sent that to them as well. Anyways, without getting too frustrated and going too much into that story, I still have not got my refund from these people. The next available appointment was a Tuesday, and they're still arguing with me about it. I took photos, I showed them photos of my face, my tickets, everything. I've done everything I could to possibly get my tickets back. So my advice, if any company that you book your tickets through is sponsored or supported by these guys, the booking project, don't go there, don't do it. Or just make sure you can give the tickets to somebody else, because it's been dreadful. And it's giving me post-traumatic stress because this thing was on my face, man. And I've had to cancel a festival that I was looking forward to going to. I've had to cancel this hotel room. I was telling people that I was going to this festival, having a good time and staying in a hotel room, going to have a second bath for 2 days, bloody hell. Anyways, my embarrassment had, cancel everything, get my money back because friggin' the HSV won in my face, and still having problems with these guys. Anyways, that's the story I have for you guys. Bad date rising. Yeah, I think so. That makes the list most definitely. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you kids do these days. Welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. As always, I am your host, Mr. Ryan Dillon Brasington. This one was, this story wasn't a time where I was feeling pretty down and out for myself. I was in between homes and I was staying at a hotel in Woy Woy. I decided I was going to go out to the pub for a beer. Ended up going out across to the pub after working up some courage. And I got in there, and it's pretty late at night. The band's playing, got me first beer, and I sat down at the bar. Like there's this little crossbar that was in front of the band that's playing. Yeah, all right. I'll just sit here, get comfortable. All right. Anyways, and I'm sitting there watching the band play. I'm thinking, yeah, not too bad, but why have they got the sports screen on in the background? Dead set. This band's playing, and they've got football on one screen and cricket on the other and boxing on another. Why the band's playing in front of these three screens? I thought, is this normal? Like, anyways, and my eye focus drops down to the band watching the chickie, and she's rocking her stuff, and then it drops to a couple in front of me, and it's this guy that is face to face with his missus yelling at him, like screaming over the music, and drunk as a nit, right? And I'm looking at him going, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, like, and he's got like the angry look on his face, and his missus is like, oh, we'll just leave then. And then, anyways, from nowhere, he's just whipped his gaze over to me and stared at me, and he's gone, what count? And I was like, whoa, like, hold on, I'm holding me beer, having a sip. What are you looking at? I was just like, nothing, man. I just got me beer turned and I walked away, right? I walked straight outside down into the smoking area, and I sat at a picnic table outside there. It could sit probably about, 6, 8 people, depending on. I sat there by myself, I rolled a ciggy, I gave it a lick, and I sparked it up, and I'm drinking my beer, and I was like, wow, that's full on. Anyways, then friggin' it was 2 or 3 19-year-old girls come out, they looked straight at the table and me, and they walked straight towards it, and they plonked down, and they're just about to start a conversation with me. What are you for? And I was just like, got up and walked away, man. Not even going to tempt it to happen. And, I know what happens next. All your goof boyfriends walk out, and they see me at the table talking to you, and then they've got someone to fight. I'm not young and stupid like the rest of your friends, so I'm getting up and I'm leaving the table. This was the thought process, luckily, because I was correct. I went inside, I had a look around, I thought, I'm not going near that guy again. Friggin' finish a beer, get another one, I'll come back out for another smoke. Anyway, so I went in, I got another beer, came back out. By that time, I'm looking at the table, and there's the 3 girls that are all friggin' carrying on, as well as the 5 friggin' young testosterone males that are there. And I'm like, hey, yep. Told you so, Dylan, Right, so at that point, I got the gaze. I thought I'll just I'll just have me back to this barbecue that's in the middle of these picnic tables, rolled myself a smoke, I sparked it up. And as I'm having this smoke, this young fella come walking in, and his shoulders are up to his ears, right? His head's tucked right in, and he's walked up and his pants are up to his belly button, his socks are pulled as high as they could go, and he's waddled in and he's pointed at one of the guys and he goes, you can't come on, I'll take you on, you want you go, do ya? Right, and I'm like, what the fuck, right? What is going on here? And this little fat chick's walked in front of me and she's like, he's off his head, I can't believe what's happening. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, he's off his head, I can't believe it. And he's like, yeah, come on, cunt, I'll go, yeah. You want you go? And anyways, this group of young people and the girl just all kind of scurried out the back way into the back darkness of the pub, right? Security come out, ended up doing whatever they do out the back. I didn't really notice what was going on. But in the meanwhile, to take safety, I've actually sit myself down on one of the picnic tables with a group of people that were there, because I was like, I'm just going to sit with people so I'm safe in a group. And then when I finally, had a look around, it was actually a group of girls that I was sitting with, and they seemed pretty safe. They didn't seem like piss off. I said, oh, do you mind if I sit here for a minute? And they're like, yeah, no worries. And they're all singing karaoke on their phone, having a good time, not even noticing the drama that's going on. And I said, oh, some drama over there. And they're like, oh, are they your friends? I said, no, definitely not. I'm here by myself. And anyways, I got to know the 3 girls that were there. One was... I can't even reflect on their names, but let's say there was a brunette there. There was another girl that was heavily disabled in a auto chair there. Beautiful young girl. People kept on stopping her and starting conversations just because she's in the chair. But anyways, quite normal to me. And the other lady that was there as well. And they said it was all a night out that was invited by the 3rd lady I mentioned, because her boyfriend had dumped her and they just needed a night out with drinks. And I said, well, I hope I'm not disturbing that peace by sitting here and having a couple of ciggies and finishing my beer. And I said, no, you're welcome. Anyway, night progresses, guys, and I end up getting to know the first girl that I mentioned, the brunette, quite well. And let's call her Bethany, just to mention names. It's not a real name, but just to be safe. So Bethany and I get to know each other, throughout the night. And she mentions, she's going to come back to the hotel that I'm staying at because she doesn't want the party to stop. And I'm like, yeah, all right, no worries. And anyways, we go back to the hotel room. We have a smoke and we're laughing and giggling to the show that was on telly. White was on mute making our own conversation up about what they were saying. It was bloody hilarious. Had a really good laugh and a good talk with her. Really getting to know each other. And one thing led to another, jumped in bed, and anyway, she was a little bit awkward in the bedroom. And I'm thinking maybe she just has been a while for her type thing, but yeah, not, it was just, anyway, not my usual type thing anyways. Well, maybe she's just a bit shy, maybe she's not really an open person. I don't really kind of anyways, I made sure I had consent triple time, asked 3 times, everything was great, quick, one thing led to another, I had a good time. Anyways, and we finished up and she said, I'll have to do that again in the morning. And then anyways, we're talking throughout the night, and then morning comes around and she's crying a little bit in the morning, and I go, what's going on? And she said, oh, there's something I have to tell you. And my heart sunk, going, oh, fuck, shit, what's happened, my God. And she says, yeah, there's something I've got to tell you. And I thought, oh, shit, oh, my God. Anyway, I thought to myself straight up, all right, number one, you wore protection? Yes. Yeah, you got consent too. Excellent. Yeah, all right. Third, what the fuck is she talking about? And I said, all right, please tell me. And she said, look, I'm just getting over the HPV virus. I thought, HPV. That's not, yeah, hang on, that's genital warts. That's not fucking herpes, like, SPV or whatever it is. HPV is genital warts, and a fucking alarm bell started ringing. I'm like, oh my God. And I thought back, lucky I went and washed me dick after I was in with her the first time, let alone the second time that I made love in the morning. Anyways, actually, to be honest, we hadn't made love yet. She told me this information before she wanted it again. Anyways, so she told me she's just getting over that, rah, rah, rah. My alarm bell's going off. Anyways, yeah, and to be honest, guys, she put it on me again, wanted to go again, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? So anyway, so I'm strapping it up again, putting some barrier cream on, some lubricant, all around where I can, had consensual sex. It was kind of half 50% on my chance because I really did not want to. But I thought I wanted to be a polite guy and show that, I'm not against you just because you told me that. Obviously, you're getting over it. But I'm definitely going to strap up and do the best I can. Had a scrub afterwards, yeah, and went for an STI checkup. Since was cleared, I'm 100% healthy. Thank you very much. But it sure did freak the shit out of me because she didn't tell me until the morning after when she'd sobered up a little bit and thought, you know what, if I want a chance with this guy, I've got to tell him the truth. And I did kind of invite her out again, but then was kind of neglectful to follow it up, Yeah, she said she was doing something. I said, all right, I'm going to the movies next weekend if you want to join me. Didn't hear back from her, and I was like, yeah, well, kind of good, like, ugh. Like I said, it wasn't very pleasurable. It was awkward, and telling me that the morning after, I consider very deceitful. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is best to be protected than end up sorry than unsafe. Anyway, please like, subscribe, do whatever your kids do these days.